Greetings, fellow Zambians. We are in Tanshibantu. The progress is in the hands of the people. That's what it means. Uh, it's very serious, actually, when you think about it. The progress of our country is really in the hands of us, the citizens, not nobody else. Everybody in Zambia is a citizen, except for those that are not obviously citizens. I mean, every citizen, it's everybody's responsibility to move the country forward. But obviously, it has to be facilitated by the government, obviously. So today, today in my podcast, I think you can see me. Look down to the lower left of your screen, and I think you should be able to see me. I'm a little guy sitting in the corner there. Hey, yoo-hoo, over here. All right, so just wanted to make that picture there so you can at least see who's there talking. So, but anyway, I have a big discussion today, and I want to make this very serious assertion, so to speak, observation, or whatever you might call it. But I want to make an observation, and I want to make suggestions. I just want to, in short, I just want to provoke some thought within the mindset of my fellow Zambians. So the question that first we have to answer at this, now that many of our citizens are rising, are awakening to the real roots of the problems at the heart of Zambia. What do the youth want? You know, that's the question of the day. What do you want? What do you want? What change do you want? And how do you get that change? How do you plan to get that change? It's very important because, and the reason I do this, I ask this question is because 5 years is a long time, people. 5 years is a long time. 5 years, and I say 5 years is a long time. Sure, you may think 5 years and all that stuff, but think of it. What has the last 5 years done to Zambia? It has really destroyed Zambia. Icharo nacho naika, guys, muri 5 years. Nacho naika. So we really need to think carefully. While the youth are congregating, once for you are, I'm 45 to 47 there. So you might describe me as youth, or you might not. It depends on who you talk to. But I think I'm fairly young. But just ask the question, because because regardless of my age, I love Zambia as any citizen. And there's nothing I want more than Zambia to start progressing. And I wanted to start progressing like 10 years ago. Seriously, 10 years ago. So we are late. So today, my focus is, what do you want? What do we want? And when do we want it? Since most of our citizens are just waking up like right now, I saw this a long time ago. And not to talk like anybody that's special. No, I just saw it 10 years ago. Well, it started a long time ago, actually, 1991. But I saw this situation, this gravity, this descent into total chaos. We are on the verge of, a failed state, so to speak. I saw this the moment our current president, the first time our current president spoke, when he was talking about a king who wanted to split a kid so he could find out who the real mother was. The moment he spoke, I could read it right away that this man, there was not much upstairs. there was not much upstairs, and I fought as hard as possible to convince my fellow Zambians, don't vote for this man. Dr. Guy Scott saw it too. He knew the man. He probably knew the man much better than we all did, because he worked with him. And he wanted to save Zambia from this, from what we have today. Dr. Guy Scott wanted to save Zambia from the situation that we are in today. He removed the man from his position. And Zambians rose. Oh, jeez. You can do the Musungu. Hey. It became racial. Guys, I thought it was very shameful, actually. It became a racial thing. You were white, you can't do this, just go back to your country and all that. He's the anointed one. It was like Zambians had become bewitched. Watching my fellow Zambians, it was amazing. It was like everybody had become bewitched. It was like, can't you see this person you are trying to put in office knows nothing? He's not up to the task. Why do you want to vote for this person? Oh, because he's the anointed one. So they left him in office for a reason. If there was ever a moment, if there was anything that I could do to end my friendships with people, with my fellow Zambians, was to say that our incumbent right now, our president now, was not fit for office at the time. It was a quick way to turn the viciousness and the ferocity of my own friends against me. And my family. Some of my family. And so that I'm vindicated. Most Zambians are vindicated. But I'm glad that all Zambians are seeing it. They are seeing it. So what I want to talk about today is that's what I just said is bridge under the water. But it's something that we should never allow to happen in Zambia. Please, Zambians, fellow Zambians, we can never have that happen again. But I'm concerned at the same time. I'm really concerned, even when I say that. Let me see, my microphone signal may be too high here, so I don't want any crackling or anything like that in my voice. So, but I'm concerned that people are not thinking in a manner that would be consistent with learning something. They are not thinking about, even the youth are rising, obviously. They are talking, and this one is talking here, and this one talking here, and the youth are all coming out and saying, yeah, we don't like what the government is saying. What the government is doing. We need answers. COPA, we are not benefiting from they are expressing, the dysfunctional nature of our governance, the misappropriation of our wealth, misappropriation of our resources, corruption. They are rising up against this. But at the same time, there is this voice around, going around saying, well, let's see them. 2021 is not too far away. 2021 is not too far away. Why do you say that? Why do you say to them, you want to kick them out? This time, everybody who says, I regret having voted for this PM, I gotta tell you, in 2015, Mr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu did quite a number on the Zambian people. He really did. And yeah, he really did. From what you should have learned is what humility is. What humility is not ichi muntu nachifukama nachitana muntu napfukama naiponye chinso kwatika tushi. Guys, that is not humility. Trust me, that's not humility. Magufuli in Tanzania, you think, Sata, would you describe Sata as humble? You loved Sata. Once we loved Sata, was he humble the way you describe it? According to to how you see humility, Sata was not humble at all. He was not humble. He was not humble at all. But he was in charge. He got a handle on things. You know, he didn't have a lot of nonsense to tolerate. He had his failings. He didn't quite go through with what the PF stood for, because he brought in thieves from other parties and all these recycled politicians and all that stuff, all those people that used to steal and steal and steal, and the old people that have no business being in government and cannot have any ambition. And he brought them in, and they took over the party. That is his biggest failing, sad. But the man had authority. If he wanted something done this a certain way, he was not to mess around with. He was not to joke around with. He would not be joking around. So, but he was not humble. But you liked him because of the authority that he demonstrated. He could face the Chinese head on. That's what I'm talking about. He could face them head on and say, you stop this nonsense. It's not your country. You stop this nonsense. You have to abide by these guidelines and respect our citizens. And if that was here, this nonsense with the Chinese would not be going on right now. It would not be going on right now. So I just want to take you to that was just about being humility. You don't stop thinking it's time as Zambians. I know we have a culture, guys. I know that I respect extremely. I have a lot of respect for our culture. Our culture is it's almost, I would say, sacred. Because it is who we are. If we lose our culture, then we are a lost people. We are a lost civilization, so to speak. We can't lose our culture. We can't lose our languages. I don't even like it. It's not my language. But for the sake of communicating with everybody, I have to use this English. But it's almost foolish that I should be speaking to English, speaking in English when I'm speaking to my fellow Zambians. The only reason I am to speak English is because some of my fellow citizens may not understand my language, or one of my languages anyway. I can speak some Namwanga, but mostly I speak Bemba, but I'm a Namwanga by tribe. So I was raised in the Bemba land. So anyway, what is it you want? Right now is the time to start to think about it. Are you thinking about putting Haka in the Ichilima in office next year? I'm just going to hit this right. Just take it right on. And then you can bombard me with, criticism and all that stuff. Do you plan to put Haka in the Ichilima in office next year? Do you plan to vote for Haka in the Ichilima? If your answer is yes, why? Because I don't want you to repeat the mistake that you just made 5 years ago. And 5 years is a lot of time. If you put a wrong person in that office of the president, we are going to regret it. We are going to be foolish. That will be the height of our foolishness. We are already talking about what we want. What we want, as far as I've heard it from the people that have been talking about it, there's something wrong with our governance systems. That is basically what is wrong with Zambia. It's not really Lungu. It's not these ministers. It's not these politicians. What is wrong is our systems. Our systems of government, our governance systems have failed Zambia. The governance systems have failed to meet the ends to which a government is instituted. That is to, secure the general welfare of the public. Do those things that society society cannot accomplish if citizens act individually. That is the purpose of government, to secure our rights. Dismal failure, which is that's a dismal failure. To secure our general welfare, it has failed miserably. To secure our rights, it has failed miserably. To create an environment in which every citizen should endeavor to succeed and pursue happiness, failed miserably. And it keeps getting worse. To ensure, to provide for our national security, failed miserably. You have had foreigners in our police force. You give a contract for security cameras to foreigners. That's a dismal failure to provide national security. To provide for our national defense, I can't speak to that. Zambia has never been at war. I haven't seen Zambia at war. I don't know. With the leadership that we have right now, we could be wiped out. But I don't know. Yeah, that depends. I don't know. I respect our military. I don't know what they're capable of in war, but I respect our military, because in the final analysis, if things got to a point of, seriously, if we got into a failed state, our military would be our last resort. So that's why I have respect for our military, because they carry that discipline. And so let me get on with what I'm talking about. Who do you want? Do you want to vote Hakainde Hichilema into office? If your answer is yes, I challenge you to tell me why. Right now, we want I can assure you right now, I'm just gonna say it. I assure you that the only way that Zambia is going to get out of this situation, the only way that corruption in Zambia is going to end, and Zambia is going to benefit from its resources. Every citizen of Zambia is going to benefit from its resources, is if the current system of governance is abolished and a new one put in place. I guarantee you that. Whoever we put into that office of the president, without changing our governance system, is like a broken bus that keeps limping around and bangs through, guardrails and all that stuff, and ends up in the ditch. You push it and you get it back on the road and it starts walking. Some people get injured and stuff like that. It keeps going. Then you say, "Whoa, let's change the driver." You are useless driver. You are a useless driver. Conductor, driver and conductor. Once a 10 pansi. We are going to get a new driver. Oh, okay. My qualification, you always said, no, come, you can drive the bus. I am the bus is not fixed. He's going to try really hard to control the bus for the first few minutes. For the first hour, I don't know, okay. Before long, the bus loses control. Boom. You have not fixed the bus. The bus is broken. The bus is broken. There is no way you are going to correct the situation if you don't fix the bus. It's as simple as that, fellow citizens. It's as simple as that. So, if you consider, let's consider this as no. What has to happen is the governance system of Zambia has to change. Period. End of discussion. The governance system of Zambia has to change. Period. End of discussion. So, who is ready you have to look now at the politicians that we have available. That is, if you, unless we plan on, forming a party or something, but I'm not sure that is in the works right now. If the youth form their own party, sure. But among the candidates that are there, the political leaders that are there, in opposition especially, the question you need to ask is not, geez, we are going to is no. The question you need to be asking is, which leader has the answers to the questions that we are asking? Who's going to deal with this system and bring it into alignment with what we want, with our wishes for Mother Zambia? Who is going to place this country on the course of prosperity? Who is going to end corruption? So, on that note, I want to listen to these two. I have on my graphic here, I made this graphic just for this today. I have Mr. Edgar Chagwalungu, Mr. Xavier Chishimba, and Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. I picked these three politicians for a reason. Mr. Edgar Chagwalungu, you have already passed your judgment. His ineptitude has been amply demonstrated. He is not qualified to be in the office of the president. It's as simple as that. He is not qualified. It's not worth analyzing whether or not you should vote for him or not. The answer is no. You should not vote for him. Unless there's something wrong with you, you should not vote for Edgar Chagwalungu next year. Seriously, unless there's something really wrong with you, that brainwashing cannot be cast out of your mind. You should not vote for Edgar Chagwalungu next year. There's nothing else to discuss about that. So Edgar Chagwalungu is out next year. So now it becomes the question of, who do you put in there? This is what I'm going to get to. So here it is. I am going to look at, let's hear what Mr. Hakainde Hichilema says about this stuff. All right? Let's hear what Mr. Hakainde Hichilema has to say about this stuff. About his style. Let's get a sense of where is he coming from. What does he have to offer Zambia? What is his sense of vision? What kind of Zambia does he want to see? Okay? What kind of Zambia does he want to see? There, let's see. Let me see if this works here. All right? Okay. Okay, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema.
In part two of Peter Clotty's conversation with Zambian opposition leader Hakainde Hichilema, Hichilema talks about closing loopholes to stamp out corruption as a way to generate revenue and reduce the nation's high unemployment rates.
This is part of the challenge that the country is faced with. This is part of the reasons we have a declining growth and therefore shrinking opportunities for our people. As I said, education for the young is not available because there is no money, and those who complete school run or roam the streets of our countries, our towns, without finding a job because there's just no money being spent in job creation for the youth and for the women mainly. So one factor I said was debt, but I said to you that debt was motivated by corruption, appetite for corruption. So corruption itself is a problem. So it is not right, it's not correct to say that the current government is fighting corruption. Absolutely not. If they were fighting corruption, we wouldn't have the levels of corruption that we're seeing in our country. I'm sure you've heard the stories about or around the purchase of ambulances, very expensive ambulances. You've heard the story about fire tenders, fire trucks, you may call them in this country, which should have cost the taxpayer $300,000 a piece. It cost the taxpayer $1 million a piece. 42 fire tenders, $42 million. We should have saved around $32, $33 million. but that went away to corruption. So there is no fight against corruption. And we intend to clamp down on corruption by having a zero tolerance policy on corruption, zero on corruption. So which means we'll support the oversight institutions, Anti-Corruption Commission, we will support the Financial Intelligence Center, and by supporting them, we'll give them operational autonomy, but more than that, we'll give them funding, support, financial support to execute their mandate. And when they come up with the reports, those reports will be actioned, passed on to the police, passed on to the prosecution arm, so that those that are gullible, those who are palpable, will be prosecuted. It's not happening now. We will do it under the UPND government.
Some people are saying there's palpable tension in Zambia. Sure. They blame the UPND for creating that because they said attempts by the government to have a negotiation or a dialogue to resolve the tension has been rebuffed repeatedly by the UPND. You are the leader of the UPND. Sure. How do you react to that?
That is far from the truth. We have, from the outset, we have been available for dialogue. Okay. We've been available for creating normal conditions in our country. Because as we operate now in the country, the situation is abnormal. We have a breakdown in the rule of law. We, as UPND, would like to restore the rule of law. We have basically no respect for human rights, liberties, and freedoms. We want to restore respect for human rights, liberties, and freedoms. And as I said, we want to restore economic performance so we can create opportunities for people and reduce poverty, which is basically extremely high, unacceptably high. 58% of our people today live below $2 a day. That's unacceptable. 58% is a big number. So we want to deal with those issues. But all of these matters can be dealt with, some of them definitely by having a meaningful dialogue, not symbolism of dialogue, but meaningful dialogue. We've been available, we'll always be available. We've been treated quite very badly by the regime in office, but still, we believe that we are in politics to serve the people, and to serve the people, part of what we've learned to do is to be tolerant and to be able to keep our eyes on the ball, and dialogue is essential. But our colleagues have not been available.
But
remember,
some people are
they're
saying,
in leadership.
Some people are saying that recently the church mother bodies organized or tried to mediate some talks, and that UPND boycotted it. So how do you say you are available when the accusation is that the UPND, the major opposition party in the country, is not available, contrary to what you are saying? How do you react to that?
That's far from the truth. We are available. We've been available. Let's be factual here. We've actually had a meeting between Mr. Lungu and myself, which was organized by the church mother bodies. So that's a clear confirmation of our availability for dialogue.
That was Zambian opposition leader Hakainde Hichilema speaking with VOA's Peter Claudy.
Okay. Sorry, guys. I think my microphone was off here. Sorry. You heard Mr. Hakainde Hichilema there, and he was saying essentially that the current government is not doing what it's supposed to do. He recognizes corruption. He says we will have zero tolerance for corruption. In UPND, we will have zero tolerance for corruption, and we are going to have support all the institutions, all the various institutions that are responsible for, essentially for curbing corruption. And the current government is not doing all that. We are going to restore the economic performance of our country and all these things. Now, let's cut the story short here. The words, when you hear this man talk, and I want you guys to think about it, think with me for a moment. When you hear this man talk, you know, what politician doesn't say this when they are, but 99% of politicians will say the same thing. Who is not going to tell you that who is going to tell you I want corruption to continue? Who will tell you I want corruption to continue? Any politician will tell you this corruption must end. We have to end it. But what is not telling you is even the economy and other stuff. What is not telling you recently, you've been reading about, Bali is going to fix it. Bali is going to fix it. Bali this. Bali is going to fix it. What is not telling you in this whole thing, in what you have listened to right here, you have had no vision. You have had no passion about anything. He doesn't demonstrate any passion about anything. What he is telling you is ordinary stuff that you want to hear in your time of despair. We are going to end corruption. The question is how? By supporting institutions, these institutions, that the Anti-Corruption Commission and all that stuff, you can support them all you want. Only, are you going to support them when they say the corruption is coming from statehouse? Are you going to support them? You need to think about those things, guys. He can say all these things. When he is in power in that office, are these institutions going to be free to investigate statehouse? Or wherever he may have interest? Is he going to allow them to go and investigate his farms? Or wherever, when citizens can whistleblow? This farm, this institution that's connected with HH is corrupt. Are these institutions is he going to support these institutions? So these are empty words. I'm telling you, these are empty words. Remember, whoever gets in that office has all the powers, has all the political power in Zambia. He has all the political power in Zambia. And he has not told you exactly how he's going to fix it. I want to tell you something here. Fixing something, the corruption is embedded in the institutions of Zambia. It is. It is not that easy to fix. You will not fix it. You don't have a plan to fix it. He has not told you how he is going to fix corruption. It's not going to happen because the systems will remain the same. It is the systems themselves that facilitate abuse of power. The power distribution within the system is what facilitates corruption. Until you take apart the power distribution of the system and reconfigure it, this corruption is not going away. And he is not giving us any way that is going to correct this. He's demonstrating no passion whatsoever. He doesn't seem driven about it. He's going to get into that statehouse. I assure you, he's going to be there, and this stuff is going to continue. We are going to have another 5 years. He already has recycled politicians in the party. William Banda. I don't like to talk about personal politicians, but at this time, it's important to talk about them, these guys, to talk about them. William Banda, who used to go and probably kill people in the MMD, kill people and moving around and like a king, like very powerful man. He could get you eliminated anytime. Where is he? He's sitting next to Hakainde Hichilema as his advisor. They went for tax under Mwanawasa. Mwanawasa dies. Millions of dollars, they just vanish. Where did they go? Who was presiding? Who was in the government at that time? Tumbeko Musokotwane. He was in the treasury. Later on, he came to be finance minister. Where is the money? The guy is rich. Where is the money? Where are the millions of dollars from the windfall tax? Guess where Tumbeko Musokotwane is? He is in the UPND, recycled. Sylvia Masebo, jumping from party to party to party, looting here and here. Where is she now? She's in UPND. A whole bunch of shady characters are in the UPND behind Hakainde. It's not about the leader, people. It's not about the leader. Nami Papa Tamama Zambians. It's not about the leader. It's who is right below him, who is around him, who's surrounding this man. Who is surrounding this man? And right now, he is poised to simply go into State House and assume the absolute power of the land. So I need you to think about that. Think about that. This is going to be a little long, but I hope you take the time to listen to this, because I'm going to go through our next potential political candidate here. Okay? This is Mr. Xavier Shishimba of the United Progressive Peoples. And I want you to listen very carefully to him as well. Give him a fair shake. Okay? All right. I'll pause this where I think it's necessary to make a comment. Okay? All right. So let's see what Mr. Shishimba has to say. And if that in any way aligns with what all the youth are crying about, the whole country is crying about. Let's see. All right. Okay. I'm going to start this discourse about midway here, because I think that's where the relevant information is. It's too long to play the whole thing. It's 1 hour. So I kind of accepted a piece of it. So there we go. Let's listen to Mr. Xavier Shishimba of the UPP. All right? Okay. I'll pause once in a while to just make a comment. All right.
These questions will never go away from.
Okay, guys, I need to reset this a little bit. Just hold on here. I think hold on here. Let me see if I can fix this video very quickly here. All right, let's see here. No, it looks like I'm not gonna fix it, but I can reload it. Hold on, it won't take me. It won't take me long. Let me get back to his video here. All right, here it is. And let's see here. All right, give me just a few minutes here, and I'm going to get it going. All right, so I'm gonna start this video at about 20 minutes or so here. Okay, I'll start here.
Assets and left. The questions that beg answers from the destruction which took place, and the Zambians don't yet recovered from that, mind you. The questions are, how much money was made from the fleet of aircrafts that Zambia had? We had aeroplanes, cargo planes, passenger planes in the hangars across Europe and America. They never came back. Where are the fleet of aeroplanes? What was the value of the mines, and how much was realized from the sale to foreigners? These are questions we need to ask. We need a report. How much was made, and how was that money used to build Zambia? These questions will never go away from us until we find answers and deal with whoever was part of this. If they are dead, we are going to exhume them from their graves and we are going to put them for trial. We will try them posthumously. What happened to the metals that were already on the international market for sale through our own Memaco? What happened? There were minerals that were outside, gold, diamond, copper. They were already on the London Metal Exchange. What happened?
Just in case you guys are wondering, what he's talking about is the debacle of privatization. This is what happened in privatization. That's what he's questioning here. So this is what I started. Okay. All right. Let's continue. Let's continue to listen a little bit more.
Happened to all those minerals. And the notion, I was a member of the Committee on Estimates in Parliament. I tried to look for reports from mid-1964 to look at reports to see where government was funding mines. They were saying that they were making losses. They are not making losses. There's nothing in the yellow book that shows that government was funding mines to keep them afloat or state-owned enterprises. It's simply not true. What happened was economic sabotage, and there were many hands that were involved. And if a team or a leadership of young nationalists took over, I can assure you, Zambia would have continued on a path of building a strong republic. These questions must be answered. There are more questions that we have, but for time. Corruption and money laundering became a new culture. Using government as a cash cow for getting rich quickly became a new culture. All strong institutions that were put in place to fight economic crime, such as seated at Bank of Zambia. That was seated, which was in charge of economic crimes. They phased out all those properly structured institutions. You ought to remember that during the Olympic government, it didn't matter whether you were a minister or whoever you were. Once you are found doing money laundering or involved in any form of corruption, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda's government did not know personalities. There was nothing like, my friend. No. There's nothing like that. There's a story which is told that one minister peed at statehouse, sitting next to Kenneth Kaunda. They ate together before I addressed the news conference. He didn't know that was going to be fired. That was Kenneth Kaunda. There can never be friendship when it comes to the republic. You can be personal friends, but when it comes to the running of the public affairs, you cannot extend friendships to public affairs. Then it means that you are not a leader. All these institutions that were phased out, drug trafficking involving government officials and those connected to the party flourished during that era of crooks. Illegal trade of gold and emeralds flourished during that period. There were several suspicious deaths that were clear assassinations during that period. Ministers being killed or dropped and killed, suspiciously clear assassinations. Strange deaths were taking place. We in the EPP always say that there is no honor in stealing. There is no honor in corruption. Look at the PF. They have fired their own. They are also fighting one another. Because when it comes to corruption, there is no honor. They can agree that they steal together. And tomorrow, when the other one tries to outdo the other, the one who has power will fire that other person. What is happening is not a fight against corruption.
That's a perfect example of what he just said here, guys, is Chishimba Mbwili. Chishimba Mbwili is a savior. This is what I say. You need to first listen to how this man speaks. This man does not speak from without. This man is on top of things. This man is seriously on top of things. This man seeks understanding before he speaks. He is unbelievably, I don't know. The guy knows governance. The guy knows how to research. He knows how to research and understand and fact find and lay it out there for all of you to understand. This guy has been talking for the last 11 years. I don't know why Zambians have not been listening. I'm serious. I don't know why Zambians have not been listening to this man. But the latest, what he just said here about, thieves firing each other, you can be, there's no honor in stealing. Chishimba Mbwili, he was in PF. He was going around shutting down media houses and TV stations because he did not like what they were saying. And the Lungu, storming into ZNBC and menacing ZNBC staff and all that stuff. The guy was was a menace. They got rid of him out of PF, from the PF, they fired him. And all of a sudden he's now on the outside, he has lost his looting stream, and now he's forming my own party, and all of a sudden he becomes a savior. Hey, Zambians, what is wrong with us? What is wrong, Kanshi? This is what destroys our country. It's not the politicians, it's just our mindset. The Zambian mindset must change. Today he's the smartest guy. Let's continue. Let's listen to what Xavier Chimba has. But I want you to listen to how this guy talks. Besides the knowledge that he demonstrates, compare it to the guy you just listened to. Just compare it to Mr. Hichilema. Just compare the two. Then you tell me who would handle State House. Who would be up to the task? Who's really up to the task? And this guy is not very rich. Now some of you may say, no, that means he's going to steal more because he's not rich. No. It means nobody is probably funding him. There are no special interests funding him. Because if he's funded by special interests, guess to who he's going to owe allegiance? He's going to owe allegiance to those people, not to you, the Zambian people. Mr. Hichilema has lost elections, 5 times. No matter how rich he is, he needs help. These things are not cheap. It is not easy to run this huge party by yourself. There are interests involved here. That I can guarantee you. As long as you, the Zambian people, have not donated any money to Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, he needs help. He gets money from somewhere. It doesn't. I don't care how low, how rich he is. The whole Zambia finding elections by himself. It doesn't happen. So he gets money from somewhere. That's why he's very silent when it comes to talk about changing the systems. He doesn't want to talk about it. If you people, all of us in Zambia, all the youth and everybody wants the system to change, and if Mr. Hakainde Hichilema is the person you are looking at, then you have to hold Mr. Hakainde Hichilema to the fire starting right now. Tell us that you are going to change the systems. Tell him we want the system to change. Tell him we want Zambia to start afresh. We don't want this failed, stupid government. We want the president's power to be reduced so it can go to local governments and to institutions of the state. We don't want the president to control a mayor. And a mayor, by the current constitution, what we call constitution right now, the mayor as the highest authority in his jurisdiction. But the president goes over there and tells the mayor what to do, breaking the law. We want an completely independent judiciary. The president may select, judges, but he can never have the power to fire them. He can't have the power to fire judges. Judges can only be removed through a tribunal of some sort or through impeachment. The president should not have the power to remove any judge. We want an independent legislature, which means the president cannot select ministers from the National Assembly. That is foolishness. That is foolishness. The president must select his cabinet from the citizens, qualified citizens with the appropriate qualifications, becoming the ministry to which they are being, assigned. And they will run those ministries professionally. That's how the country should be run. Local institutions must be run professionally. local jurisdictions. I'm talking about local jurisdictions. The city of Lusaka. If we say districts, if we, for example, you say districts should be run independently, they should have their own representation of the central government at all those local levels. They must have all organs of the central government represented at local level effectively, so no one citizen needs to travel from wherever they live all the way to Lusaka for stupid services. But anyway, let's continue. Okay, let me continue. Let's continue. Let's see what Seva Chishimba has to say. A little more.
What's happening is window dressing, we have said it before. It's just the rules of, there's so much rot which is taking place in our country. Under the PF, it has been business as usual. Saga upon saga. Shame has even disappeared. Elasticity, when it comes to the conscience, has reached the very end. It cannot be stretched any further. So they have lost their consciousness. They have no conscience at all. Now, let me say this. Let me pause here and say this. Fellow compatriots, if anyone thinks that the biggest problem that we have is PF, if anyone ever thinks that the biggest problem that we have is Edgar Chabalungu, then you need to go back to preschool. Edgar Lungu and PF, these are not the biggest problem. The biggest problem that we have is the system. We in the UPP are systems oriented. Those who are crooks, naturally crooks, don't talk about systems. They want to maintain them. We did warn in 2009. We did warn in 2011 that if change will be about removing Rupiah Banda from government, then when the people of Zambia are headed for a shock. It has come to pass. I went to Kasama, went around the country with my own resources to tell Zambians that it's very clear that you are saying don't Kubeva and you want the PF. But I can assure you, the reason I resigned as MP in 2009 was that I saw the same people who were part of the sagas of privatization, who were ministers, some of them were in business, who benefited from the corrupt system. They were bringing corrupt money to come and join the PF, and were being given positions. Old PF members who understood the vision were being removed. Corrupt people, recycled trash, was being given positions. PF.
Let me pause here. What you just said here. I want you to make you understand something about that might speak to the integrity of this guy. Real integrity of this guy. He just told you why he resigned. But I want to show you evidence of that. Is there evidence of that he resigned on such moral principle here? And let me open this up here. Okay, I'm gonna open up something here so we can read it. This is Mr. Chimba's resignation. I only have the first page. I don't know where I have the last page, the second page. This is his resignation from he was the original architect of the PF. He never served in government. He was just an MP. But here is why he resigned. I want you guys to hear this, and I'm going to read it because it's kind of small. You may not be able to read this. He said, resignation from the party. Dear sir, this is going to Mr. Sata. Mr. Sata had enlisted this guy who was working with a Catholic church, setting up all sorts of organizations, like the Catholic Relief Services, all over Zambia. And he saw that talent in him, and he thought he could tap him to bring something to the party, and he did. That's how this guy ended up in the PF. But when he started to see that what he was working on as the manifesto of the PF, what he was working on in order to bring real change to Zambia, was being overridden by the infiltration of old politicians from other parties, and I guess Mr. Sata got desperate. He started to get anybody who could bring in money, and he started giving him positions. So this guy got frustrated, and he couldn't take it anymore because it was not what he signed up for. So let me read his letter. This is from 2009, because just to because some people might say, well, he's just talking, he's just talking. Let's read this letter real quickly here. Resignation from the party to Mr. Michael Chilufesata. May the peace of God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit be with you. Sir, I write from the deepest from the deepest affection of my heart to wish you well in fighting for justice in our country. Zambia is a covenant nation. God is firmly in control. He is presiding over the affairs of our country from his throne of grace and righteousness. This must encourage you to fight on knowing that our omniscient Father is directing all things. It is heart-wrenching to see our country deteriorate due to abstract solutions that state managers offer to simple and clearly known problems. The people of Zambia demand dignity and justice, and that is not too much to ask from their government. The tree that was planted to provide shelter to the flock has fallen on the flock. Perversion of justice, tribalism, nepotism, corruption, and all manner of wickedness that have metastasized throughout the body politic seriously put our independence dream in jeopardy, and I refuse to be part of a failed politics. My conscience does not allow me to be part of institutionalized corruption. The current order, where the truth tumbles on the streets of Zambia, changes soon. Greed will soon be replaced by sharing. Our founding fathers and mothers will have that. Let me read this again. The current order where the truth tumbles on the streets of Zambia changes soon. Greed will soon be replaced by sharing. Our founding fathers and mothers will have died in vain if our generation does not rise from slumber and change course. This was his letter. There's a little bit there's a little bit that's on the second page, but I don't have that. But you can see this is integrity. And this guy, everything he has said from the moment he resigned here has been very consistent with him seeing a country that completely changes. Let's listen. Samuel, let me get this away. Let me put this away. And continue. Let me continue this so we can listen to what he says.
It was taken over. It was under siege. It was hijacked before it formed government. I tried to appeal to Zambians. They never understood. The problem that we have is PF. If anyone ever thinks that the biggest problem that we have is Edgar Chabalungu, then you need to go back to preschool. Edgar Lungu and PF, these are not the biggest problem. The biggest problem that we have is the system. We in the UPP are systems oriented. Those who are crooks, naturally crooks, don't talk about systems. They want to maintain them. We did warn in 2009. We did warn in 2011 that if change will be about removing Rupia Banda from government, then we the people of Zambia are headed for a shock. It has come to pass. I went to Kasama, went around the country with my own resources to tell Zambians that it's very clear that you are saying don't Kubeva and you want the PF. But I can assure you, the reason I resigned as MP in 2009 was that I saw the same people who are part of the sagas of privatization, who are ministers, some of them were in business, who benefited from the corrupt system. They were bringing corrupt money to come and join the PF, and were being given positions. Old PF members who understood the vision were being removed. Corrupt people recycled the trash was being given positions. PF was taken over. It was under siege. It was hijacked before it formed government. I tried to appeal to Zambians. They never understood. In 2011, I said, please, let Rupia Banda's government certainly has made many mistakes. But please, let this Banda continue up to 2011. Then we, young nationalists, let's seize the occasion to organize so that by 2016, we must end recycling the same people. You can have a change in the presidency, but as long as below the president, ministers, you have the same corrupt, recycled people, there is no change that can be delivered. Those who don't understand how government functions, government is run through the driving of the policies by ministers. Ministers are the drivers of policies. They present cab memos before cabinet, then they are approved and are implemented. It's not the president who is the mover of cab memos, but ministers. So any person who says as long as you change the president, then you change everything, it means that you don't know what you're talking about. Look at the people in all these groupings. Some of them still have court cases. Some of them, they have been, surviving from the time of the MMD and the Children Peoples and Banda. They are still there today. These are the people who made presidents to fail them because they are looters, and today they want to continue to destroy our country. Under the PF, corruption has become the mainstay. It has been there, mark my words. So the change that you must be talking about is to end all forms of recycling the same people. Why should you keep escorting the same looters? You know them, you Zambians. Why do we complain? How do you expect different results when you know these people, you know what they said when they were in government? You know them. They were ministers of finance, they were ministers of government, they were in charge of government, key ministries, and there is nothing that you can remember them for, but you want them to continue. You still go back to the same trash. Changing from one political grouping to the other does not change the behavior of a person. You cannot teach all the dogs new tricks. Look what the following sagas, away from nationalism. Zambia Malawi Medicaid scandal, $32.5 million. Still begs answers. United States dollars, 300 million, outdoor advertising industry scandals with the City Council as the main culprit. The Mr. Ratza, 17-year speed camera contract, which we fought, we exposed it, we were the first, we fought against this. One thing to let a foreigner come to Zambia to simply manage speed cameras, and you give them a project, just within 3 years, $300 million is generated, and they take the money out of the country and remain just a cap. Remember the sagas of NAPSA and the Zambia National Building Society of over 1 billion kwacha. This is money which has gone and it's not available to the people of Zambia. Just a few crooks, they take the money and they take it out of Zambia. They put it in offshore accounts.
Guys, I think I don't want to go on talking up listening. It might turn out too long, but you hear it for yourself. What I want you to think about here is simply, I want you to compare the two people you just listened to. Who is more likely to change Zambia? Seriously, you need to be very objective. This is a time to detach yourself from irrational affinities for people. You need to detach yourself. If we all love Zambia, we need to detach ourselves from irrational affinities for people. I'm going to vote for him just because I like him. That is irrational. It is detrimental to our country. Don't do that, please. Don't do that. Look at these two people. I've just showed you two people here. Objectively speaking, with your best judgment, who is qualified, more qualified to handle the statecraft? Who is more qualified to deliver the change that you deserve? Who is more qualified here between Xavier Chishimba and Mr. Hakainde Hichilema? Mr. Hakainde Hichilema has a huge party. I don't know who funds it. He says he has money. I don't care. He's failed 5 times. He has had money. Somebody has helped him. Have you ever heard Mr. Chirima rise up and say, I condemn the Chinese? Chinese this and this and this and this. He has said a few words here and here. He hasn't expressed any anger. You'd think that somebody in opposition would be in the forefront of really condemning the Chinese. No. Here and here, no, nothing. Nothing really. He doesn't talk about any change. He's listening to what the youth want. Has he come out and said, the youth, we hear what they're saying. We need to change our governance systems. These systems have failed us. No, because he would know if you are going into that office to recover what you have lost. You want all that power. You want it. Yeah, you want all that power because that's what it takes to recover what you lost. Mr. Edgar Chagwa, at least according to Wikipedia, is worth $400 million US dollars right now, from virtually nothing just before he became president. From virtually nothing, he had about 70,000 kwacha or something like that. He is worth 400 million. You heard me. At least according to Wikipedia, they don't get this information lightly. Mr. Lungu is worth $400 million. You heard me. $400 million. President Barack Obama, he's worth approximately 40 million US dollars. Did you hear me? President Barack Obama is worth approximately 40 million US dollars. I think this is a joke. It's not a joke, guys. It is not a joke. And so, who you put in that state house, it is up to you. It is up to all of us. If we were going to hold elections tomorrow, and I had to choose between the two candidates that I just showed you, I'm discounting Edgar Lungu completely. Xavier Chishimba, Hakainde Hichilema, my vote would be for Xavier Chishimba. I encourage you to go to his page and watch a whole bunch of videos. There have been times, I must admit to you something. I must admit something to you. There was a time that people said he was mad because he got so frustrated that he began to just scream at this government. And people thought he was mad. They called him a Chinamakis. He would carry a sign and stand at State House and protest as just one man. He's been on forums and forums just screaming, trying to get somebody to listen to me. You can see the frustration in the man. Please listen to me. It's almost like that frustration. It's Zambians, please listen. Listen to me. It's like that frustration. The man has been frustrated for a long time. It's been driving me. It's driven him crazy. That people, so much has been going on and people just do not want to listen. I can put myself in his shoes. When you have so much information about the government, you know what is going on, and then you see people dying every day. You see people dying every day, and over simple things, over things that can be easily fixed, and yet millions and billions of dollars are bleeding out of the country, and they are living from the mines, from our, other minerals that we have, all this stuff, through stupid contracts and all that stuff. Money is bleeding, and you have all that information. He has held all these, briefings where he presents documents. He's holding documents, contracts signed with the Chinese, and they're authentic, and he shows them to you here, signed by minister of this and this and this. We are entering into the 32 million. All this money just disappeared. The Zesco saga, he has been revealing all these things for the last 10 years. But we never listen. Zambians, we never listen. This is a man who has all the information. We never listen. But you have just listened to him. This is a man who is really passionate about his country. This is a man who will not take nonsense. He's not going to allow a recycled politician in the government. This guy is not. I can read people. Just like I read Mr. Lungu, the very first time we spoke, I can read this guy. This guy is the only person that I see right now that can pull Zambia out of the mess we are in. Everything that the youth are crying about, this guy has been crying about for the last 11 years. You could see, I just read you the letter that he wrote to Mr. Chilufya in 2009. The same things. That's the same things that he's been fighting for over and over and over and over. Go to his page. I really encourage you, because I love Zambia, I really encourage you to go and look at Mr. Chimba. And if you find anything that touches you on his page, spread it. Let every youth know. Spread it, because it might make a difference between a failed state and prosperity. I'm telling you right now, guys. I'm telling you, he's right here. Let me show you something that he has. Principles of the UPP, the party that is president of. Principles, the UPP. What will drive the UPP? Let me read something to you. This right here. This right here is an excerpt, chapter 1 from the party's manifesto, or the party's guiding principle of the UPP. And let me just read you the first part here, a little bit. The people shall rule by self-government. The people of Zambia shall actualize the Declaration of Independence by crafting and enacting a homegrown constitution through a popular and broadly representative assembly as an act of sovereignty. We have never done this in Zambia. Just for your information. I don't know if you knew. We have never done this in Zambia. Ever since independence, Zambia has never sat in an assembly to craft its own constitution. The paper that we call its constitution was drafted by the British. We keep amending it. That's why it is called an act of parliament. It's an act of parliament. The first parliament that passed it, that drafted it, was the British Parliament. Under the Zambia Independence Act of 1964, Section 65 of the Laws of England. They drafted that under an order in council, or as they call them, as they call them there. But it's a statutory instrument that the Queen issued under the Zambia Independence Act of 1964, and they drafted under a statutory instrument just as a guide to Zambia, as a transitional document. It's provisional. While you wait before you sit in your own assembly to come up with your own constitution, here is something for you to use in order to govern yourselves until then. That was what that was. Because of greed, Zambia never got to do that. And we keep amending this silly thing over and over again. We are still following a foreign document. We are governed by a foreign document. And the same archaic laws that we took from the colonial government, we still continue to apply today. Some of the stupid laws are libel laws, just like recently was applied on Chela Tukuta. Countries in the world repealed those laws a long time ago. They are archaic laws meant to oppress people, to suppress freedom of expression. You criminalized libel. Libel cannot be criminalized. You can't criminalize libel or slander. The aggrieved party is supposed to sue. If they want to sue somebody, they are supposed to sue. You can't criminalize slander or libel, But those are the kind of things that we have carried from the British, and we have never sat in our own thing. So that is what he's saying in here. If the UPP came to power, this is what they would do. The people of Zambia shall actualize the Declaration of Independence by crafting and enacting a homegrown constitution through a popular and broadly representative assembly as an act of sovereignty. The state shall then set aside all foreign pieces of legislation and draft a new set of laws that will carry the spirit of sovereignty in the homegrown constitution. That is change, guys. That's what change sounds like. See, seriously, I don't mean, guys, that's what change sounds like. Listen to this. All the citizens of Zambia shall directly participate in the administration of the country through the transformation of districts into city-states with full power to plan and implement all government programs. That's change. That means no minister will have anything to do with a contract. No minister will ever see any money come across his desk. The money will go directly from the national treasury to these city-states, which will be run by professionals. Professionals whose performance will be evaluated on an annual basis and audited randomly for corruption. That's how you beat corruption. This is real change. I can read you this document, a lot in this document. You'll be shocked. This guy is on top of things. I guarantee you, this guy is on top of things. If I were to give anybody a chance, look, there's nothing to lose. Right here, it looks like next year, we'll be looking at gambling on Hakainde Hichilema. Oh, if he doesn't do it, then we'll vote him out too. But it's still going to be there for 5 years. So if you are going to take a chance on somebody, why don't you get somebody who is young? This guy is only 46 years old. And he is ambitious because he has a long way to go. He is ambitious. When President Kaunda became president, he was 40 years old. That's why Zambia thrived, because it had young leaders. His cabinet was full of young people in the year 37, in their 30s. Kaunda was 40 years old. And Zambia embarked on industries, employment. There was so much employment that there weren't enough people. That's why he introduced the Zambia National Service, so they can train people in skills and all that stuff to work in all these industries that were sprawling all over Zambia. Because the young people were like, this is our country. They were ambitious to compete, to say, hey, you colonizers, you are not the only ones that can run this country. We can do it ourselves. If you get old people in government that have been there, they run out of ideas. Their ambitions, they just wither away. You can't be ambitious backwards. If you are old, you are old. Guys, it just happens to everybody. If you're old, you are old. Get out of the way. Let ambition take its course. You can't be ambitious backwards. It's the younger people that can be ambitious because they have a long way to go. So this guy, he's ambitious. He's a no-nonsense guy. He can get the job done. This guy is up to the task. If we want real change, I'll bet my money on this guy. Seva Chishimba of UPP. If you have not heard about it, you need to start right now. If it comes to the choice of saying, oh, geez, we're just going to vote next year. If this so-called, youth movement and all that comes to anything. We can form a party, sure. But whoever we pick has to be up to the task to change government. Agreed. Agreed. And all the youth in Zambia come together. Let's support him and influence all the other citizens because the youth have that power. Influence everybody. We need to change Zambia, and the only way is through this person. If that option is not there, then I seriously urge you, fellow citizens, to look at this man, Xavier Chishimba. He does not compare to any politician that I've seen in Zambia. This guy does not compare to any politician that I've seen in Zambia. He's on top of things. This guy is on top of things. He is poised to make a difference in Zambia. So, we are in Tanshibantu. It's all in our hands. I encourage you, what I said. Listen very, very carefully to Mr. Don't abandon Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. Listen to exactly what he says. What he says, I've been listening very, very carefully. There is nothing that he says that is unique. It is typical politicking. Nothing else. When this guy speaks, Xavier Chishimba, you sit back. Sit, This guy knows what he's talking about. The guy knows governance. You haven't heard anything. Apanalandaba. You haven't heard anything. But what you've heard should be enough to get you thinking. He wants to change the system. That's what he wants. That's what he's been advocating for the last 10 years. He wants to change the system because the only way to put Zambia on the right path is to change its systems. And if you don't want Zambia to continue to bleed massively right now, Zambia is bleeding massively right now. It's like its ephemeral artery has been cut. That's what is going on. It's the ephemeral artery of our country has been cut. It's bleeding massively right now. It's bleeding everything that it needs to live. Simple translation, people's lives. That's the importance of the decision that you have to make. If I were to take a chance tomorrow, I'll take a chance on Xavier Chishimba tomorrow. Mr. Hakainde Hichilema has not told me what his vision is, what clearly his vision is. He has not articulated exactly how he plans to end corruption in Zambia. Listen very carefully. What he says. He says our government will end corruption. I can tell you that. Anybody can tell you that. How Mr. Hakainde Hichilema? Well, by supporting institutions. You mean institutions, the same institution that you are responsible for assigning managers to. You appoint the heads of all those institutions. And you think that those heads will come around and start investigating statehouse. It's a joke. It's a joke. I'm telling you, it's a joke. You know, yeah, the current government they're not doing anything about corruption. We will do it under the UPND. It's a joke. It is a joke. Bali will fix it. These are nonsensical. You know, this is nonsensical rhetoric that gets you roused up for nothing, guys. Get yourselves together. This is no time for overexcitement over nothing. This is no time for blind excitement. Calm down. Look at the candidates. This time around, there must be serious presidential debates. Whoever absconds a presidential debate he must immediately be rejected by the Zambian people. You cannot have somebody abscond presidential debates and you are sitting there as patriotic citizens and you say, oh yeah, he has nothing to do, he's too important for that. You are talking about your country. How do you evaluate candidates when they abscond a national debate? How do you know what they have to offer you? How do you know how they will handle certain things? How do you know how they will deliver what your wishes are? How do you know how they will make government work for you? How do you know if you do not engage them in a presidential debate? There must be not one debate, probably 4 presidential debates. We must be serious as citizens. This is where us, the citizens, have to be serious. You have to put candidates to the test of fire. You are going to get into a debate and you have to have somebody ask tough questions coming from the public. Tough questions. Tell us exactly how you are going to end corruption. Tell us exactly how you are going to improve the justice system. Tell us exactly how you are going to resolve the Barroso issue. Tell us exactly how you are going to empower the youth all over the country. Then somebody runs from those questions and I don't have time for a national debate. And you go and you vote for him. Who's ruining the country? It's you who voted for that man. It's you. You are ruining the country. Anyway, that was my discourse for today. Guys, I hope, you got something out of this. Seriously, guys, I beg of you. You need to think. Whatever you decide is your own decision. But I hope that you will be making a decision in the interest of Zambia, because Zambia has a punctured ephemeral artery right now. Your country, my country, has a punctured ephemeral artery. It's bleeding profusely. And next year is not a long time. The election is not too far from that right now. Think about this. If this has meant anything to you, please share it. This will be on my YouTube channel. Share it. Share it. I'll be sharing a whole lot more stuff. I'll be putting out a whole lot more videos. I'll try to be a lot shorter than I've been today. But subscribe and so when I've posted a video, and let's get a conversation going. So guys, I cry for Mother Zambia. I know you do as well. So I hope that what I've just said here helps in whatever small way. I don't want Zambia to go through the same thing for another 5 years. Now, Papa, I just don't want Zambia to go through the same thing for another 5 years. Please, no. No, please, no. No. We need to save Zambia. We need to save Zambia. Our country is crying for us to save it. It's crying for us to save it. There are bones of our ancestors in this ground. In the ground. It's why we call it Mother Zambia. There are bones of our ancestors, those that bled and died for our freedom. They are in the soil, in this soil. This land cries for us to save it. We are in Tanshibandu. Progress is in our own hands. Fellow citizens, be well.